Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to replace the screen on this Lenovo ThinkPad T480S. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is connect it to an external monitor and then shut it down. Alright, so I'll be back. Alright, I'm back, so the computer should be shutting down. There we go. Alright, next thing we're going to do is close the computer. Oh, it's actually still on. I see the power light is actually blinking. Make sure the power light goes off completely. Alright, it's completely off now. Let's close it up, flip it over. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is remove all the screws from the bottom. Let me actually zoom out a little bit here. Okay, to do that we are going to use a PH1 or JIS1 screwdriver. Okay, and let's go ahead and remove all these screws. Alright, so just undo them, just like this. It looks like the screws actually hold themselves into place, so keep that in mind. Okay. Alright, all those screws are holding themselves into place, so they actually stay in the case, they don't come off. Alright, if your screws come out, make sure that you keep them in order so that you can put them back in the right spot. But again, it looks like these screws actually hold themselves in place. As you can see, this one, okay, this one might be coming out for some reason, but it shouldn't be. Okay, so I don't know why, but this one came out, so I'm gonna have to get that. There's a plastic washer there that I'm gonna have to get and make sure to try and reattach that. Alright, so once you get all those screws out, it will actually pop the back of the cover up a little, so you can actually get behind and lift it up just like that. Alright, flips up nice and easily, and then you can go ahead and pull this out. So let me see where that plastic piece went. Okay, so it fell down in there. I'm going to show you what how it looks like. Let me get the tweezers here. Okay, and we're just going to get this piece. So there's this little plastic washer there. So that's supposed to keep the screws in place. So let me actually get this screw back in there. So I'm going to put the screw back in, and then I'm going to get the plastic washer back on top. Okay. And then while I'm kind of holding that washer, while I'm kind of holding that washer in place, I'm going to screw it in. Okay, to get that back over it. Alright, so there you go. You can see that now it's actually holding itself in place. Okay, so that's what the bottom of the cover looks like. We're going to set that aside. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the battery here. So there's only a few screws. Let's see here. Again, you want to keep the screws in order. The way I do that, I put them flat side down like this on my desk. In the pattern I remove them, so that way I can keep track of where they came from and where to put them back. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and remove all those screws. Looks like there's two towards the top, and then there's two at the bottom here. Alright. Okay, so remove those 4 screws for the battery. Once you remove the 4 screws, we're going to go ahead and pop the battery out. So just get underneath and then go ahead and pull this up just like that. And then we're going to kind of slide it out this way. So here you go, battery model. There's multiple model numbers here. L17, L3, P71, so that's probably the main one. And then they got these 2 other model numbers there. So if you want, you can try those if you can't find the first one. That is a B, not an 8, so SB10K97620, and then the other one is 01AV478. Alright, so there we go. We got the battery out. We'll set that aside. Okay, so depending what you're doing, if you're just upgrading the SSD or something, you don't need to worry about removing the battery. Usually the main reason I remove the battery is for replacing the screen because it's a lot more risky. But if you want to be safe, because this battery is pretty easy to remove, you can just remove it anyways. Alright, once you remove the battery, you want to open up the laptop, okay? And then press and hold the power button for about 15 seconds. Alright, this will drain any residual power and will make it a lot safer to work on. If you don't do this, there's a very good chance you can fry the keyboard or the screen backlight circuit, and you can also damage other components on the computer. Alright, so anyways, let me close the door real quick because people are here, and I don't want it to be too noisy, so I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. So anyways, you got the BIOS or CMOS battery here. These kinds of connectors, you kind of just grab them and you kind of just wiggle it to pull them out. Let me actually zoom in so you can see a bit better on all these things. Okay, So you got this connector over here. Again, these ones you kind of just grab it and you kind of just wiggle and pull it out. I'm going to leave that because I don't want to reset the BIOS on their computer. You got the SD card slot and the headphone jack, microphone speaker jack here. And that plugs into this up here. I don't really see how this, okay, it does have one of these flip latches. So that's an interesting design. I've never seen one where it's like that. But this does have a flip latch, and then you can pull that cable back. Got the speaker connector here that plugs the speaker down there, and then the wire runs along all the way to the other speaker over here. You got, I believe that's the fingerprint sensor, right? Yep. Okay, so you got the fingerprint sensor right here, which connects up here. Again, flip latch. Then you got this small cable for this little board down here. Again, I'm not sure. I've seen a lot of computers with those little connectors here. I don't know if this is an antenna or what it is. But yeah, that plugs in up here. It says JLID. So maybe these little sensors here are the lid close detector. I'm not 100% sure. Let me actually check here. One way I can find out. Oops, sorry. Some way I can find out, I have this kind of a magnetic field detecting sheet here. Okay, so we got this. Oops, let me zoom out a bit here. There we go. Okay, so that sensor is right there, so that means there should be a magnet like directly under it. So let's go ahead and see if that's correct. So if I put this here, yes, you can see, or hopefully you can see, there's too much glare. Let me tilt this. There you go. Okay, so you can see there's a strong magnet right there. So that magnet, it lines up with this. Okay, so as you can see, you can kind of see the magnetic field going through this. So basically this thing detects the magnetic field and allows it to know that the screen is opened or closed. Okay. All right, so I finally found out what those little things are. You got this little connector here for this USB port here. So if for some reason or you break this USB port, you can replace it, assuming you can find parts. Excuse me. All right, so then you got the fan connector here. There's a little button here. Was that visible through the bottom case? Oh, yes. Okay. So through the bottom case, there's this little hole here that lets you do kind of like a battery or BIOS CMOS reset. So if you use a needle through the cover, you can actually press this, or once you open it, of course, you can also press it, and you can hold that for about 15 seconds to reset it. Sometimes that will help fix the computer if it's having issues turning on or charging. So you can give that a shot if your computer is having that kind of issue. All right. All right, fan connector here, one of those grab and wiggle connectors. It looks like to remove the fan, you will have to either remove the heatsink or remove the entire motherboard and flip it over so that you can get access to the screws. Most likely it's held in with screws, but it could be held in with melted plastic. Okay, then you got a connector here. There's two connectors going into the screen, so I'm not sure. I'm going to guess the larger one is the LCD LVDS connector, but I'm not sure. And then there's this other one here, which could be for like the sensors, like the camera, microphone, and things like that. Okay, then you got another little connector up there. Is that the power button? Okay, that's most likely the power button. So this piece, the power button is replaceable, but it is underneath the motherboard. All right, you got one slot for RAM here. I don't know if the other RAM is soldered to the motherboard or if it's removable. If you want to check, you can look for the motherboard on like eBay or something and try and find pictures of the back. This does look like PC4 or DDR4 RAM though. So yeah, if you wanted to upgrade the RAM, it looks like you would put DDR4 memory there. All right, you got the wireless card here, one screw, and then it can pop up slightly and you can pull it back. The antennas come out by lifting from the tails. I don't want to remove them because sometimes they're fragile and they can break. Then you got another card here. I think this is like the WAN or wide area network card. I don't know. I usually don't see these slots being used, so I don't know. I've never seen someone have that card. Maybe it's for like if you have the cell phone SIM card. All right, so there's actually a SIM card slot here that if you push a needle through, it pops out and you can access that. If you are taking out the motherboard, you will have to remove this SIM card slot, whatever that plastic thing is called. All right, and then the SSD, I'll show how to remove that. Okay, there's just one screw here. Once you remove that, you can lift it up slightly, and then you can go ahead and kind of wiggle and pull it back, and it comes out just like that. There is a thermal pad on the back of the SSD here. All right, but yeah, all right, let's go ahead and push this back in. I don't know, I don't see all computers having this thermal pad, so, and I've also seen some with the thermal pads break, so I don't know how effective the thermal pad is, but a lot of computers use that. Then there's this little switch here, which is kind of like a case intrusion switch, so it knows that the case is open, because this pops up when the case is off. So as you can see, you can actually just push it down slightly, okay, and it springs back up. All right, then they also have this little connector here that wasn't used, and it says JNFC, so I guess some models have a NFC reader in the palm rest, and they connect it there. At least that's my guess. Okay, so I don't really see too much else in here. We are doing a screen repair on this, so let's see if we can actually replace the screen without pulling out the entire LCD assembly hinges. Okay, so I'm gonna try and just remove it by lifting from here. Most likely there's a bunch of adhesive holding this down, so we're gonna slowly, carefully pull this up. Okay. All right, just like this. I think I actually already pulled this out earlier to try and at least partially just to get the screen model number. So mine is coming up easier than it normally would. The adhesive should actually hold really strong on here. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm pushing the bezel slightly inwards as I kind of lift this. All right, and we're just gonna slowly, carefully keep peeling this up. Let's go ahead and work our way over to this side. Okay, just like that, and continue lifting as, again, we're pushing the bezel in towards the center. So pushing that side in, and then now that we're on the side, we're pulling it in towards the center as well while lifting it up. Okay, just like this. Okay, and you want to be careful. I think last time when I was peeling it, this flat piece was separating from this rubber outer piece. So you want to try and keep those together. You don't want to separate the layers. Okay, so now that we got that, let me see if I can show this. Okay, so we got that. Let's go ahead now and get more to the bottom area. I didn't actually peel up the bottom area, so hopefully the bottom area is going to come out not too bad. So I'm peeling this. If your screen is still working, you don't want to attempt this because you can risk damaging your screen. But if you're going to be replacing it, then it's all right. All right, so we're just going to keep peeling this. Okay, so I haven't peeled this part out last time, so it's actually coming out pretty easily, pretty nicely. Okay, so we're just going to keep peeling this, pulling it forward. All right, this last piece is stuck quite a bit. There we go. All right, so here we go. It comes out just like that. The bottom has these little pieces that kind of need to go in to sit flush. So it might be a little bit tricky to put this back, but we will find out. All right, so there's the screen bezel. Came out quite nicely, not too bad. All right, so we're gonna set that aside. And then let's go ahead and flip this over. And what we're gonna do now is remove the screen. So the screen is held in with 4 screws. These are also PH1 or JS1 screws. All right, so let's go ahead and remove the 4 screws. Again, keep them in order. Okay, you can actually see all the antennas going into the screen here. All right, I can actually now see which side is which for where the LCD or LVDS connector is, but it looks like both connectors are going into there. So maybe this one is running up into the screen camera thing like I was saying earlier. And no, I was wrong. So actually this is the LCD connector, and then this one goes to, so this connector goes into the camera here, as well as there's the light on the back of the screen, the ThinkPad little red dot. All right, so that's what this connector is. So I was right, this is the LCD LVDS connector, and then this one goes into the camera, the microphones, and that Lenovo light. Okay, none of these pieces are going to fall out, right? Okay, it looks like it's sturdy, so I don't need to worry too much. Okay, so let's go ahead now that we got all 4 screws out. We can lift this screen up. I just go by this piece or however you can get underneath. All right, so get underneath the screen, and we're going to just flip it back. You want to be careful because there isn't too much slack. So we're going to lay it over this way. Here you can see the screen model number here, NV14 whatever. Let me show you this. All right, you will want to check your own screen just in case, because some people will have different models like a 4K or 1080p, but there's what this one is, N140 FHM-N46 version 8.2. All right, a lot of times the sellers are gonna sell a compatible screen, not the exact same model, so keep that in mind. If they send you a different one, that it might be okay. So yeah, all right, so I'm gonna move this back here. What I'm gonna do now, we're gonna unbox the new screen. So let me cut this thing open. It's all sealed with a lot of tape on here. Okay, I don't know why they put so much tape on it. It makes it difficult to open, but all right, let's just cut all this tape off. Okay, there we go. All right, let's continue. Let's cut this one. Okay, and cut this. Oh, more people are here. Anyways, okay, so we cut all this open. Let's go ahead now and tear this bag open. I might have to just use scissors to cut it open because they put so much tape on it. Yeah, let's just cut it open. Okay, cut that, and then we're just gonna cut along the top. I'm left-handed, so this is kind of weird. I'll use my right hand, and let's go ahead and cut this open as well. Okay, I might have to, let me use my left hand and do it on this side. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut through here, just like that. Go much easier with my left hand. Okay, so let's take this out. All right, so we got this box here. Oh, it's sealed. So this is like actually sealed from Lenovo. I don't know if they peeled it off, but it looks like factory sealed. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and cut this open. Actually, it looks like they peeled it up here. I don't know if you can see that. It looks like they might have peeled it up there. So hopefully it's an actual factory one. Let's see. Let me see if I can actually peel it up the same way that they did. Assuming it was peeled up. I don't know. It looks like it was, but... Oh, no. If you peel it up, then it tears that warranty thing. So here you can see, I don't think there's any way they could have peeled it up like that. Okay. So anyways, interesting. So I ordered this on eBay, I believe, because actually the price was pretty competitive. So it's kind of interesting that they got a genuine Lenovo part here for cheaper than what other places were selling it. Okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and peel this up. There we go. And let's peel this off. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this out. It's sandwiched between two layers of this pink foam stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and peel this out, and it's actually the same exact model. That's nice. That's usually I rarely will get the same exact matching part number, so that's cool. All right, and then they have this protective film on top that we will peel off afterwards. So let's go ahead and disconnect the screen here first. Okay. So to do that, what I do is I use a plastic razor blade here. Let me actually zoom in so you guys can see this better. What just happened? Okay, there we go. I keep getting people messaging and it's, oops, I left this charging too, it's gonna overheat. Sorry, the sound was probably all staticky. I forgot to turn off my battery charger. Okay, anyways, so let's, why isn't it focusing? Come on. Whoa, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, my phone is being all weird. I don't know what's going on. Is it all greasy or dusty or something? Okay, well, it doesn't want to get a super clear view for some reason. It was clearer earlier. I don't know what's going on here. Well, I guess we're gonna have to just live with that. Oh, there we go. Okay. So anyways, let's go ahead now and use the plastic razor blade and cut underneath here. Sorry, so much time was wasted trying to get that to go. Anyways, I'm just cutting under here with the plastic razor blade. Okay, again, if you are messing with this, hopefully you disconnected the battery and press and held the power button for 15 seconds or longer. Right, that's very important. All right, now that we got most of it up, I'm gonna go ahead and try and peel the rest. There we go. All right, so underneath this, there's a metal latch here, so we're gonna flip that latch up. Right, once you get that latch up, we're gonna use that latch to push the connector back, just like that. And there we go. So we're gonna set this old broken screen aside, and we're gonna now get the replacement. So we'll get the replacement screen. Get it right there. Okay, I know it's kind of getting blurry. There we go, focus on my hands. All right, so this cable, it's a little, they put a little bit of adhesive here to attach it, so there's not that much slack. If you want, you can try and peel that off, but I'm gonna try and do it like this. Okay, so let's try and get this lined up, because I don't want to have to peel that and then it will come loose later. All right, so let's get this completely lined up. All right, make sure everything is lined up perfectly. Might have to use a plastic tool. I have fingernails to do this, so right, pull that down, and while we're pulling that down, we're pulling it in. Okay, so we got that, and then you want to pull both sides at the same time to make sure it stays even. Okay, just like that. All right, the adhesive is kind of stuck to it, so I'm gonna have to separate that from the latch. There we go. And click that latch back down on both sides. Good to go. All right, hopefully you guys can see. I'm gonna push the corner edges here just to make sure it's flush, and then we're gonna pull the adhesive back over and stick that back down. All right, there we go. Not too bad. Let's zoom out here. Okay, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna just flip the screen back up. Okay, so just lift the screen back up here. Get that lined up. Get all four corners back in place. Flip this back, just like that. Okay, let's go ahead and zoom in again. Ooh, that's a lot. Okay, and then we're gonna get the 4 screws back in. All right, at this point, you can actually put the battery back in and test it. You don't have to put the bezel back in. So we're gonna actually do that first just to make sure everything looks good, and then we're gonna go ahead and put the plastic bezel back on. All right, so get all 4 screws back in to hold that into place. I don't know what that stuff was. All right, and the reason I test it first, well, because if it doesn't work, then we can take it back out and then return the screen. And also I don't want to peel this thing out right away, so that when I return it, they'll see that I didn't really completely finish installing it because there was some issue. Okay, so we're going to close this up now. Okay. All right, let's go ahead now and put the battery back in. So this battery is very simple to install. Actually, let me zoom in a bit here. Okay, battery's very simple to install. You start up here, we're gonna slide it down, right? Because these parts need to lock in underneath here. Okay, so just get that lined up, get it down, right? And then up here, you wanna push that into place, and now the battery is connected. All right, so you wanna be very careful now because the battery power connection is live again. So you don't want to, I mean, either way, you don't want to drop metal stuff all over the motherboard, but this makes it where it's a bit more risky, that if you do drop something in there, you can permanently damage your computer. Okay, let's get the last 2 screws down here, and then we'll get the bottom cover on, test it. If everything works, we'll put back the bezel. All right, so there we go. We got the 4 battery screws back in. Let's go ahead and zoom out a tiny bit. Okay, that's probably not enough, sorry. There we go. Okay, so now that we got all of this lined up, let's go ahead now and put the bottom cover back on. So just like before, bottom cover, we're gonna put this part in first, the bottom edge here. All right, get that in. Once you get the bottom edge in, okay, you might have to wiggle it to make sure everything is flush and lined up down there. once you get it in, you kind of keep pressure to it and then lower that down. You can go ahead and kind of somewhat click this around in, and then let's go ahead and get these screws back into place. Right, just like that. That one, this one. Okay, for testing, you don't have to put these screws. I'm just assuming that it's going to work okay, so I'm putting in all the screws. But again, for testing, you actually don't want to put in all these screws, because if it doesn't work, then you have to open it back up and then take the battery back out and everything. But this cover is easy enough to remove, so I figured might as well, why not? Okay. Alright, get all those screws in, make sure everything is nice and flush. Let's flip it over and then make sure it powers on okay. Alright, so let's turn it on. Power button light's on, keyboard light is on, and we can see the Lenovo logo, so it looks like it's good now. And it's spinning. Alright, we should be good to go. Once I confirm everything is 100% good, we're going to go ahead and put the bezel. Alright, so here you can see it's on. Looks good to go. We're going to shut this down. Oh, okay. Shut it down. Alright, so now we just wait for it to turn off. We can go ahead now and peel this piece off. Okay. So this is just a protective sheet. You want to actually roll this back. You don't want to pull it towards yourself. You want to roll it off like this. So you want to try and keep it, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm keeping the film flat against the screen, rolling it back. I'm not pulling it away from the screen. And the reason you do that, because if you pull it towards yourself, you can actually separate the layers of the screen, and that can actually damage it. Okay, so we got it all put back together. Let's go ahead and get this piece in. So again, this little bottom piece could be a little bit tricky. So what you do, you just open up the screen, and that will make it a little bit easier. So get that in, try and slide this in. Okay, so get that lined up. You might want to actually close it a little and check it, but let's go ahead and get this piece first, and then let's clip these corner edges in. Okay, just like that. And let's go ahead and take a look. So those clicked into place. So you want to check here. Okay, it looks like it's okay. And you want to make sure that seam is in. You don't want it to have those little tabs sticking up. Okay, so it looks good. Alright, so let's go ahead now and just click all those clips into place. It helps to actually lay it flat like this on your desk, so that way you can put more pressure on it and it won't just push the screen or flex it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just go ahead and go over here and click all of this into place. And what I'm doing is I'm pushing it slightly inwards as I'm kind of pushing it down. Okay, and just like that, just going all around. Same thing with the top here, kind of pushing it in towards the center as you're pushing it down, and you'll see the clips go in pretty easily. Okay, this one's a little tough because it's the corner, so it has like one of the that you have to push this way and one that you have to push that way at the same time. So it might help to kind of lift it a little here, just like that. There we go, looks good. And then go ahead and go across the inner edge to push down the adhesive again. Okay, just like that, and we're good to go. We'll turn it back on one more time. All right, and you can see it's good. Oops, I accidentally made a smudge there. I'm gonna have to clean that, but anyways, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices. If it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, let's drop this. Bye.